Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Fatmata and this is Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art. I'm really happy to have you here. I'm down in the sewing room this morning. It's Sunday, February 9th. Where is February going? It's too fast. I am ironing a lot of fabric this morning, and while I had this moment, I wanted to pop on because it's been a while since I've given you sort of like just in time updates on what's been going on. I think the last video I posted was everything I made in 2024. If you haven't seen it, please do go and check it out. I was really proud to kind of see all of my makes in one place, and I hope you enjoy and that it serves as a bit of sewing inspiration. Because I'm pressing the fabrics for it, I will go ahead and tell you what I'm working on, or what I hope to work on. I recently cut out, and recently I mean like yesterday, this is the display number, don't mind that, but it is S9886. And it is this gorgeous dress. I believe I picked it up last year. As soon as it came out, I fell in love with this opportunity to do some color blocking. I am doing length of view B with the sleeves from view C. And I'm going to extend that sleeve as well. But really excited to give this pattern a try. Like I said, from the moment I saw it, I was excited about it. I have a stack of denim fabrics that I picked up at Joann Fabrics. Most of them are the 4-ounce denims that I've been picking up. They're 100% cotton, and over the past like year and a half, 2 years, when I've gone to Joann's and found a remnant cut of denim, I have usually brought it home with me. However, I'm now learning. I knew that there were different washes, but I always thought that the light wash, all of the light washes were the same, or the mid tones and the darker tones were all the exact same, and I'm discovering that they're not. So that's going to come into play, because as you can see here, this pattern requires 3 different fabrics. So I'm going to have to work that out. But in order to do that, what I need to first do is get all of the fabric prepped. I have already prepped the pattern before I turned the camera on. I was actually ironing the pattern pieces because they are some really funky shapes, and in order to lay it out on the fabric to make sure that I have enough of the various, washes of denim, I need to have everything flat and ready to lay out. Yeah, but that is what I plan to work on next, and I'm really excited about that. I have been feeling this denim crush and want to see this dress come to fruition. I don't actually see too many samples of it on Instagram, so I'm curious if a lot of folks, didn't make it up. There are quite a few pattern pieces in this because, as you can imagine, given the shape of it, and here are the design lines so that you could really get a sense of it. Because of that princess seam, you then have the side seams, but since you have this sort of swoosh in the contrasting color, the side panels are not the same. So you literally are cutting out a different pattern piece for each individual bodice section, which is quite interesting. And even sort of these waterfall panels are not the same. So every single piece is basically its own pattern piece that you'll just cut once. So I was color coding just to see what I need in the main fabric and what the 2 contrast fabrics will need. So I'm cutting out basically almost every single pattern piece I'll be using, I think, except for the neckband. That's for view A. So it's a lot. I think it's about 18 pieces. So that might contribute to why a lot of people have not done it. I know sometimes it can be intimidating when you see that many pieces, but I think that the overall effect of it has the potential to be quite amazing. Let me show you what I'm wearing. Here you have it. This is my new button-up top. I was working on this pattern the last time I mentioned I wanted to make it. It is the vintage Butterick 6422. I made it previously 2 years ago, so I wanted to try it again, and I did it in this amazing fabric. It is a linen viscose cotton blend that I thrifted, and I know that that's the composition because it came with the little card attached that shared the fabric composition, and I absolutely love this button up. I made it in the size 12, grading out to a 16 at the hips, so I actually brought it more around to my actual size. I did put the breast pockets on just because it's such a plain shirt. I wanted to give it a bit of interest there, and I do plan to wear it more casually, so I thought that was a good addition. And I got to use these amazing buttons from my stash. I thrifted this a while ago, and the buttons are staghorn buttons, and they are handcrafted. So they are handcrafted by Peter Swim in Sable River in Nova Scotia, Canada. So I was very happy to get to use these, and I had just enough, so I put 6 down the front and 2 on the sleeves. I omitted any button here at the very top. I felt like that was not needed. I love this particular vintage pattern because I really enjoy how they do the facing here. As you can see, the facing in the button front placket panel is actually grown on from the shirt front, and then you sort of fold it back on itself and then tack this section here to the shoulder seams, which is just a clean and neat finish. Here is a look at that. You would interface the section right here, that portion that's going to be turned over and flipped into the button front placket. You can see here, you, after finishing the ends of that facing piece, you then turn it over and tack it to the shoulder seam, and that then becomes the button front placket. I'm happy that I gave it a try again. I think that the color of this, while it's muted, it has never been the thing that I've been most excited to sew, just because it is so plain, but it's something that I've been very excited to have in my wardrobe. And those two things are not always the same. I'm not always excited to sew the really basic, like plain things. However, sometimes I'm so excited to have them to pair with some of my more eccentric or colorful or more patterned pieces. And I knew that this fabric, this material, this color is gonna partner so well with many things in my wardrobe, and I think I am right. This is my first time wearing it actually this morning because I just finished it 2 nights ago. I just finished it on Friday night. So I'm very happy to just toss this on now that I'm in the sewing room, but I do think it's going to be worn to work sometime this week. I'm very excited about it. On Friday, I took the day off from work because I wanted to chaperone my daughter's kindergarten field trip. So that was great. We got back from the field trip at 2. The school, you know, they're done with school at 3:30. So I let her go back to her class, and I ran to Joann's. I'd been there the Thursday previously, didn't get anything, but they're having a really great sale. $1.99 for Simplicity, Butterick, and McCall's patterns, but the new McCall's and the new spring collections were not in stock yet at my Joann. So I couldn't really think of getting anything, and then I left. But as I was on the bus, you know, coming back from the field trip, I was thinking about a fabric that I've had in my stash from last year that I got from Nick of Time Textiles, and that is this knit fabric that is reversible. So there's the ivory side and the charcoal side, and I got a 10-yard bolt of it. It wasn't the widest, so it wasn't 60 inches wide. It might have been like 50-something inches wide, yes. I was watching the sew along for Vogue 2064. Brittany J. Jones did the sew along for it on her channel, and it's a gorgeous dress. Here are the design lines because I do think you can appreciate it so much more by seeing the design lines here. It is gorgeous, gives great shaping. And I wanted to use up as much of this fabric as possible. And it is not often that I have enough fabric to make something that calls for 6 yards of fabric, even for 60 inches wide. And because my fabric was not a full 60 inches, you know, 6 yards of fabric is not something that I often have a continuous length of in my stash. So because I knew I had this bolt of fabric and I'm in a season where I want to use up as much as of my fabric as possible, I was like, now's your time to shine. I am not kidding you. I made this in a day, and that has not been the case for me in a long time. And I know knits are faster to sew. However, I'm so proud of this. I bought the pattern in that window of time between getting back from the field trip, ran to Joann, picked up this pattern and this pattern alone, got out of there, came home, started cutting out a few pieces because boy, it's quite involved. And then ran to go pick up the kids, came back, finished cutting out the pattern pieces. Then I had already started washing the fabric that morning, finished drying the fabric, brought it out and was like, I think I'm just gonna give it a try. Came in, started cutting out the fabric and just stitched it that evening. I think the actual sewing time after I'd cut out everything, the actual sewing time was about 5 hours. And I had a dress by the end of Friday night. I was so thrilled. It is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. If you have 6 yards to spare, I can highly recommend. The amazing thing about this is because this fabric is reversible, I was so intentional because I did want to be able to wear it on both sides. Now, my right side of this is the ivory side. So I wanted to make sure that looked good. Because it's ivory, it would show any imperfection. However, I also did not expect to love the reverse side as much as I do, and I do. I love it. It has this exposed stitching, as you would imagine, because it's the inside, but I think it works given the way that the reverse side of this fabric is. So it's not just a, you know, plain flat color, because it has that sort of weave of the charcoal and the ivory from the front side.
I just fixed it myself.
You did? Excellent. Good job. It's got those flecks of the ivory, so I changed my serger thread to be this ivory color, and this pattern also calls for top stitching, so that helped everything lay down beautifully, and I think it just looks intentional. I know Lydia Naomi and even on Vicky Sews, there are a number of patterns that do have instructions where the dress is intended to have exposed stitching. So I felt like it just followed that sort of trend. It doesn't look odd or off in my opinion, but I will show it to you all. The skirt is ginormous. It is basically a circle skirt at the bottom. I was able to wear it yesterday on Saturday to my cousin's baby shower where they wanted us to wear ivory, and I think it looks so elegant. I am very happy that I powered through and made this. I am going to insert photos because yes, I took photos. I absolutely love this dress. Now, I think a couple of things that allowed me to sew this in 5 hours included the type of fabric that I use. This is a substantial, it is a thicker knit. It did not roll at the ends. It behaves so beautifully. It's also a cotton, so it wasn't going anywhere. It was like sewing, it felt like I was sewing a woven fabric. It behaved itself so well. I also omitted the back zipper, and that helped me cut out so much time. But in order to do that, I did not use the neckline from, or the neckband from the pattern, because it is ruched and it is so tall, it's so high, that I do think it would have stretched out when you put it on, and it would not have recovered, like snapped back. So I did a shorter, like mock neck. Even this sort of stands up, but you know, I covered that up with my scarf, but that's one thing that I might change in the future. But in order to get it done, I thought, it's a knit dress, why does it need a zipper? But I think it needs a zipper because of how high the neckline is. So if you're willing to change your neckline, you could skip an entire step, which makes it so much easier to sew. Anyways, I absolutely am thrilled with this dress and cannot believe that I was able to make it in a day from start to finish, from like purchasing the pattern, cutting the pattern out, cutting out the fabric, and sewing it in a day. That was, of course, with me just neglecting all responsibility. I was asking my husband, I was like, can I please, I have not been able to really sew and indulge myself in sewing in a while, and I just did not look at the children. I ate ramen noodles for dinner, but that's what felt like needed to be done on that Friday night, and I'm happy about that. I'll put the time-lapse video of me cutting out the pattern pieces. You'll see there's a lot of negative space that was created based on where my greatest degree of stretch was, and also the type of fabric I was using and the narrower width. That did mean I had to use a bit more fabric, but I tried to be as strategic as possible so that the remaining pieces of fabric that I do have, I can use to cut out maybe some jogging bottoms. I might have to piece some things together, or at least to get like a sweatshirt or something out of it. So I do intend to make something else with the remnants of that fabric. It's just too good not to use, but I'm very happy that I went for it and made this dress, because I don't know, I think I would have been put off by how much fabric it required otherwise. I cut out some other patterns this weekend as well, and one of them is this vintage Butterick pattern. So that is Butterick 3908. This button front dress here. And I really love the design lines. As you can see, it's got that same sort of grown on facing and button front placket as the shirt that I'm wearing now. So I think that was a feature in Butterick patterns, it seems, in the past. So not a ton of pattern pieces. They also have a really interesting sort of shape for the sleeve. So instead of having the seam right under the arms, I think it's pushed either to the back a little bit, and that's where you actually have the sort of placket. So instead of making a slit into it, I think it's just going to be from the seam, and then they have the slit in there, which again, I'm really excited to see that and give it a try. But I'm hoping that this is going to be a really nice fit. For some reason, vintage patterns fit me really nicely, so whatever their blocks used to be seem to, yeah, work really well with my body shape. I had previously spoken about cutting out Simplicity 3001 as well, and I got that cut out, so I am excited to have that also. I want to talk to you about DC Frocktails, but I actually feel like it requires its own video, to be honest, because it was so good, but I want to really be able to dig into the details of it all. So I'm just going to give you a sneak peek of what I wore. It's right there. I wore 6 different me-made garments to complete that outfit. I didn't make anything new for DC Frocktails this year, and I'm quite enjoying that trend. I think for all of the Frocktails that I've been to, DC Frocktails last year, Baltimore Frocktails in August of last year, and this DC Frocktails, I have not made something specifically for the event, and it reduced the stress of it, but also allowed me to celebrate really wonderful pieces in my wardrobe that I felt like were Frocktails worthy. And that's been kind of cool to sort of raid my handmade wardrobe and realize that I make clothing that I'm proud of, that I want to showcase and highlight without it being specifically for that occasion. So hopefully that means that I'm able to wear those pieces, you know, in other settings, even if it's more fancy settings. But That was such a great feeling, and I love what I was able to put together and come up with outfit wise, and sort of just piecing together things that I already owned or had made in the past, which was pretty cool. I saw some usual suspects, which was amazing. I had a ball. I danced the entire night. The food was amazing, and here I am talking about the thing that I said I was going to do in a separate video, so I'm going to stop. I did not do a separate February sewing plans video, and part of it was because February just started so abruptly. Work is also, I'm in my busy season of work, so I'm really trying to get these videos out as and when I can. So hopefully you enjoy that, and if you aren't subscribed already, I hope that you do, because I plan to be making fun things over here. Honestly, I think this Vogue 2064 pattern is a dynamite Valentine's Day dress. And if I'm posting this video early enough and you have access to a Joann, I would consider it if you have 6 yards of fabric to spare. Don't go out and look for 6 yards of fabric and say I made you do it. What I'm saying is, if you were thinking of something special, want to try a new silhouette, and like what you saw in the version that I made, yeah, I'll go into more detail in a dedicated pattern review of it, but I'm so happy about it. I think that's all I have to say. I am making my way through ironing all the denim. I am hopeful. I think that I'm actually going to do my denims in the reverse for this design. I intend to do my denims with a dark denim because that's what I have more of, even though they're quite different. Do the dark denim mid wash and the light wash here if the pattern pieces fit. So that's what I need to sort of measure out and see. Interestingly, I'm going to flip you over. All of the washes of denim were not the same, so I thought I had so much and was very excited about that, but I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work out. This is that 4-ounce denim from Joann, 100% cotton, and that's what I have. My mid-wash and my light wash denims remnants are also that 4-ounce denim. However, in the dark wash, I only have this remnant cut of it. What I realized when I was going through my stash is that these are different. These have a bit of stretch in them, so they're a stretch denim, and they're a bit heavier. So is this one. It has stretch in it. So that is my plan for now. Wish me luck. I also hope that when I sew these two, okay, you see in the light here, you can kind of see that they're different. I hope it works. So here are the 3. In the light, maybe you can tell. So this is that 4-ounce denim, very lightweight, very beautiful. I'm hopeful that I can do the front of the skirt out of this. And then I would use these stretch denims, and let me show you the stretch. It has a decent amount. I think that would make the bodice and the sleeve feel so comfortable, but it is heavier than the 4-ounce denim. I also know that because this has elastane in it, like some stretch percentage, I don't want it to make that curve seam wavy, so I might stabilize that curved edge, but I might have to work my way around these. But those are my plans coming up. I hope to join you when I can to share with you updates about this and to get back to you with a review of DC Frocktails from this year, as well as a review of that Vogue dress, because I think it is dynamite. Hope you stay creative, my friends. Bye-bye for now.